Today, we're taking a slightly different path. We're diving into a story that's incredibly personal, shared directly by a listener.
That's right. This isn't about digging through archives, it's about exploring a lived experience,
Mm.
a narrative that, frankly, pushes the boundaries of what we might consider normal.
Exactly. It revolves around a newly married couple, Faisal and Amal, and their wedding night. Well, instead of joy, it brought this terrifying, inexplicable encounter.
An encounter that seems linked to a whole history of strange things Amal had been experiencing since she was just a kid.
So, our goal here is to unpack this story, piece by piece, as it was shared. We'll look at the key events, Faisal's perspective, Amal's history, and their search for answers. It's really a story about fear, finding understanding, and ultimately the power of belief.
And just remember, as you listen, this comes from someone's personal reality, experiences that might be hard to grasp, but were profoundly real and impactful for them.
Okay, let's dive in. Picture the scene: the wedding night, hotel room, quiet after all the celebrations, Faisal and Amal finally alone, a moment that should be about hope, about new beginnings.
And that's exactly when everything changes. Faisal reaches out for Amal, maybe just to hold her hand, and bam, he gets hit with this intense shock. Like electricity is how it's described.
Yeah, and not just a little zap. This was serious pain, so bad it brought him to his knees. He described this splitting headache and tears just streaming down his face. He couldn't stop them.
And while he's reeling from this, in that pain and confusion, he sees something. Down at the end of the room, a figure.
A shadow figure, yeah. But distinct, not just darkness, but something there, and the feeling coming from it, pure hate directed right at him.
And then it spoke. Imagine that. A deep, rough voice coming from the shadow. And the message was chillingly clear. Don't come near her.
Wow. And at the same time, Amal, she's heard pleading with this thing, begging it not to hurt Faisal.
So Faisal's reaction, pure, understandable terror. He backs away, leaves the room, apparently even went outside the hotel for a bit, just needing to get away.
I mean, who wouldn't? That's a primal flight response right there.
Absolutely. But then something shifts. After that initial wave of fear, he starts thinking. He thinks about them all, alone in that room.
Yeah.
He just married her.
Right. That sense of responsibility kicks in. He realizes, despite the fear, he has to go back. He needs to protect her.
So he does. He goes back into the room. But the trauma, it's too fresh. He can't bring himself to get close to sleep next to her. He ends up spending the whole night just watching over her from across the room, wide awake.
What a night. Talk about starting a marriage under intense circumstances.
Seriously. So the next morning arrives. And the atmosphere, completely different. Calm, normal, like none of it happened.
That must have been so jarring. But Faisal knew it did happen. He couldn't just ignore it. He decides right away they need help. He plans to take Amal to his uncle Salim.
And Uncle Salim is presented as this respected figure, someone known to have some understanding of, well, things beyond the ordinary. Supernatural matters, perhaps.
When Faisal tells Amal where they're going, her reaction is telling. She just goes silent, doesn't say a word.
Yeah, like she knows. Or maybe she's afraid. Hard to say. Anyway, they get to Uncle Salim's place, and he's surprised, naturally. Newlyweds showing up looking for help already.
Faisal explains everything: the shock, the shadow, the voice, the threat, everything from the night before.
And this leads Salim to ask Amal a really important question. He asks her directly if she's had any strange experiences before. Anything related to, the other world.
And this is where it all starts to come out. Amal confesses. She says she's been seeing this specific boy regularly, not just dreams, sometimes in reality, since she was a child.
She describes him too, intensely white, like unnaturally white, with blue eyes. But his features, unclear. More like a ghost, an entity, than a real person.
And crucially, this white boy sounds completely different from the dark, hateful shadow Faisal saw. That's a really key distinction here. It suggests something complex is going on.
Definitely. So Amal pinpoints when it started, age 9, back in her village.
She paints the picture. A stormy afternoon, late day, almost sunset. She was with Faisal, yes, the same Faisal. There were childhood friends or cousins, and another cousin, Aziza.
And they were near this old abandoned house. You know the type. The place the adults always warn kids about. Don't go near there.
But kids being kids, Faisal apparently egged them on, said maybe there was treasure inside. That classic childhood dare.
So they go in, and it's creepy. Smells weird, like burnt hair. Walls crumbling, rain dripping through the roof. Just dilapidated and unsettling.
Then a huge clap of thunder. Scares them all, naturally. They bolt for the door.
In the chaos, Amal trips. falls hard on a rock, twists her leg badly. She says the pain was sharp, she couldn't get up.
And as she's lying there, looking up through the rain and the mist, she sees him. For the very first time. The intensely white boy with the blue eyes.
And here's a detail that really stuck with her, even then. He was standing in the pouring rain, but he was completely dry. His clothes, everything, totally unaffected. That just screamed unnatural.
Meanwhile, Faisal and Aziza, from their point of view, saw her fall, saw she was hurt, but then they saw her just stand up. But she was silent, unresponsive, like she wasn't really there, just staring.
Really strange. Then Amal blacks out. Faisal and Aziza, understandably freaked out, run to get help from the adults.
So Amal wakes up later, back at her own house, family all around her.
And here's the kicker. Her leg. The one she clearly remembers twisting, the one that hurt so much she couldn't stand. Absolutely fine. No mark, no swelling, no sign of injury whatsoever.
How is that possible? It's like the injury just vanished.
Exactly. And her parents add to the strangeness. They say when they found her, she was just standing outside the abandoned house, stock still, not responding to them at all, frozen.
And Faisal, feeling guilty, admits to Amal's father, yeah, it was my idea to go in there.
So Amal tells Uncle Salim, after that day, that white boy, he never really left her. He just became this constant presence in her life.
And here's another really unsettling detail. He didn't age. As Amal grew up, went through her teens, became a young woman, he stayed looking like that 9-year-old boy, frozen in time.
She'd catch glimpses of him sometimes, a faint shadow following her. Or, weirder still, she felt like his presence would sort of appear in her family's clothes. Hard to explain, but deeply disturbing for her.
She did try to get help back then, told her mom, who told her dad. They took her to a sheikh, a religious scholar.
But unfortunately, that sheikh just dismissed it all. Said they were only dreams. Didn't grasp the reality of what she was living with.
Then there were the gifts. This happened every year. Gifts would just appear, seemingly from family members, like an uncle or her dad.
But when she'd go to thank them, oh, thanks for the gift, uncle.
Yeah.
They'd have no idea what she was talking about. I didn't send you anything. Total denial.
So where were they coming from? As she got older, Amal started to understand, or suspect at least. These weren't from family, they were from the ghost. And probably not given freely, like they came with strings attached. An expectation.
Right. A sort of claim being staked. So, fast forward a bit. Amal's 17. Her dad gets a good job offer in Riyadh, the capital city. The whole family decides to move, leave the village behind, maybe hoping for a fresh start away from all this strangeness.
But during that drive to Riyadh, Amal describes this heavy, quiet feeling in the car. She could feel him. Ghost right there with them. Even without seeing him, she knew he was making the journey too. Moving didn't leave him behind.
They get settled in the new house in Riyadh,
Mm.
and then comes her 18th birthday, a major turning point.
On the night she turns 18, she wakes up suddenly. It's 3:30 in the morning, and the feeling in her room is just wrong, thick, strange. And there, beside her bed, is something new. An old-looking wooden box.
She opens it. Inside, there's a wooden plaque, and carved into it, an inscription in old script, the message, "You became mine, Amal."
Oh, wow. That's incredibly direct and terrifying. Her reaction, pure fear, heart pounding, and she starts hearing whispers. This is way beyond just seeing a figure now. This is a declaration.
And from that night on, things got much, much worse. A constant feeling of presence, a horrible, penetrating coldness in her room, even in her bed. Hearing breathing sounds right next to her when she tried to sleep.
And maybe the most disturbing part, this pattern started where she'd get overwhelmingly sleepy right when it was time for prayers. Like an unnatural wave of exhaustion would hit her. She'd often just fall asleep and wouldn't even know if she'd completed her prayers or not. A clear spiritual attack.
This was too much. She finally tells her parents everything that's been happening in Riyadh. The presence, the cold, the breathing, the sleepiness during prayers. And she shows them the plaque.
Her mom is horrified. Her dad, quieter but deeply worried. Seeing that plaque, that physical object, seems to really hit him. He decides they need to find a sheikh immediately.
But the person they get recommended isn't a genuine sheikh. He's described as a traditional healer or a therapist, but yeah, turns out he was a charlatan.
Amal apparently felt it right away. Just looking at his face gave her this feeling of despair, unease. She questioned if he was really a sheikh or maybe something darker, a sorcerer.
And his methods were just bizarre.
Yeah.
Asking irrelevant things like her mother's name or what clothes she wore on some random day years ago didn't feel right at all.
Then comes his big pronouncement. He puts on this mysterious voice and delivers his diagnosis.
He claims a king of the ghosts, saw her way back when she was 9 at that abandoned house and fell madly in love with her. Became obsessed.
He says this ghost was the one who somehow helped her that night, maybe implying he healed her leg. That he sends the gifts, that he's her constant shadow. Deeply attached, he says, and will never leave her.
Then the charlatan claims he isn't powerful enough to confront a king like this. His method. It involves using one ghost against another, which sounds incredibly dangerous and wrong.
And his suggested solution. He tells the family the only thing that might make this powerful ghost leave Amal alone is if she gets married.
What's that?
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Exactly. Amal's father immediately recognizes this guy is a fraud, maybe worse, involved in sorcery. He grabs Amal and they leave right away. But the charlatan actually follows them out, still pushing the marriage idea. Just awful.
So, after years of this, being dismissed, and now encountering this dangerous fraud, this is the whole story. Amal finally tells Uncle Salim.
Salim listens to everything. He's dismayed, especially hearing about the charlatan. But unlike the others, Salim knows this territory. He tells Amal to sit down, be calm, and he begins to recite verses from the Quran. His voice is clear, steady.
And the reaction is immediate. Within minutes, Amal starts shaking violently. Her eyes roll back or clamp shut strangely. Her hands are clenching, convulsing.
Faisal sees this, his wife in such distress, and he naturally wants to rush over to help her. But Salim just gestures like, no, stay back, this needs to happen.
Then Amal passes out, goes unconscious. And that's when the voice comes back. A deep voice, definitely not Amal's, speaking from her.
Salim doesn't flinch. He addresses the voice directly. Tells it Amal is pure, she belongs to God, not to it. He commands it to leave, warns it with the power of the Quran. He stands firm, keeps reciting, even when the voice tries to argue or goes quiet. It's a real spiritual battle.
After that first intense session, once things calmed down a bit and Amal was resting, Salim tells Faisal, look, you should go home for now. Let her rest here with us. I'll keep you updated.
You can imagine how hard that was for Faisal, leaving her like that, agonizing. But he trusts his uncle. He trusts his faith. He knows this is the only way.
And during the process, maybe over several sessions, Salim kept encouraging Amal, telling her things like, be patient, my daughter. The light is near. Giving her hope through the struggle.
So the treatment continues under Salim's care. The account describes a final, really intense session. Amal is shaking again, crying, but silently this time.
And the voice comes back one last time. But it's different. It's screaming now. Screaming that it will leave, pleading almost. Then Amal has one final, huge convulsion.
And then something physical happens. She vomits, and the substance is described as intensely black, like nothing they'd ever seen. A tangible sign that something dark had been expelled.
Salim, clearly drained, sweating from the effort, but he manages to smile. He looks at Faisal and says, thank God, the ghost that was in your wife. It's out.
The relief Faisal must have felt. The story says he just broke down, sobbing, all that fear, that worry just pouring out. He goes straight to Amal, holds her, whispering thanks that it's finally over.
Salim then gives them practical steps for moving forward. Blessed water to drink and wash with, black seeds, olive oil to use regularly, things known for spiritual protection and healing.
And he shares some crucial wisdom. He reassures Amal, tells her ghosts are ultimately weak compared to God's power. The only real fear should be of God. He stresses how vital it is for both of them, Faisal and Amal, to stick to their daily prayers and remembrance, the Adkar, for ongoing strength.
And for a truly fresh start, a clean slate for their marriage, he recommends they go perform Umrah together in Mecca, a spiritual cleansing and renewal.
When Faisal calls Amal's father with the news, he comes immediately, sees his daughter free from this burden, and just weeps with relief, holding her close.
Faisal looks back on it all with immense gratitude, grateful he could be there for Amal, grateful his faith helped him overcome that initial terror on the wedding night. That commitment was truly tested.
And they followed through. Amal was diligent with Salim's advice, the prayers, the remembrance, using the blessed items. She apparently kept Surat al-Baqarah, a specific Quran chapter known for protection, playing or being read in their home often. And she encouraged Faisal too.
And the story brings us to a beautiful culmination. Fast forward to the present. Faisal's at the hospital. Why? Because Amal has just given birth to their first child, a son.
And the name they choose for him is so symbolic. They name him Rod.
Raid means thunder. They chose it specifically to remember that stormy day back in the village, the day it all began. To remember how they were caught in a storm like lightning, but they made it through. They found safety, found the light together.
Wow, what an incredible journey. Bringing this deep dive to a close, we've really traced this path from utter terror and confusion rooted in a childhood event through years of unsettling experiences, failed attempts at help, encountering danger.
All the way to finding genuine guidance, undergoing intense spiritual healing, and emerging into a new life through faith, resilience, and support. It's quite the testament to perseverance.
Absolutely. It highlights that strength you can find when facing the completely unknown and how crucial belief and the right kind of support can be.
And it definitely leaves you thinking, doesn't it? How much of our reality is shaped by things we don't usually perceive? And when those unseen worlds seem to intersect with ours, like they did so dramatically for Amal and Faisal, what resources do we really have, internal and external, to navigate that? Something to reflect on.